What is truly behind the gift of alignment? The more time we spend with ourselves, understanding, studying, and traversing our thoughts and our feelings, the easier it is to see the story that is unfolding that our soul wants us to pursue. And the more that we surrender to the idea of alignment, the quicker we get in place for more of what the world needs from us. My name is Stacy Patrice. Welcome back to my channel. There are lots of words that people use that they connect to certain movements or certain ideas. Vibration, anyone? Alignment, connectivity. All of these words, frequency that people use, and they say, these are words that belong to something that has no weight, that has no bearing, and it's not anything we should discuss. And I am saying people's perception of those words and the connection that they forge with where those words belong is the reason why those words don't have weight. Not that they don't actually have weight or meaning, it's that the people who use them or the places they are used to describe are things that people think are frivolous. For instance, vibration has been a topic that has been on my head all week. A different octave of understanding vibration, not the vibration of, you know, 2017, 2018, but the vibration of 2026, and maybe the vibration of whenever you're going to watch this video, that talks about how we are responsible for our own energy that we carry and how there is vibration in every choice. What is creating choice? What is disturbing choice? And then what is the intention in the choice that we chose? And how those things come together is really profound to me because I think about how often we are choosing, whether it is what we put in our bodies, on our bodies, whether who pairs with our bodies, whether it is, what we experience when we walk outside. Because being beings of will means we're constantly choosing. We have that ability. We're constantly choosing. But in my astrological journey, I've been left to think about the things that we're not consciously choosing and how sometimes they can't get in because we're consciously choosing. And if we're saying, no, I don't like that because I don't like the way it looks. I don't like that because I don't like the way it sounds. I don't like that because I don't like the way it feels. And there's also a sub conversation. I don't like the way that looks because of how it makes me look. I don't like that because of the way it sounds because I don't like how it makes me sound. And I don't like that because of the way it feels because I don't like the way it makes me feel. Right? It makes me look away to others that I am not trying to express. Therefore, I will say I don't like a thing based on its aesthetic when really I've never checked in with this vibration. And its vibration is like almost like at that cellular level where you start to understand you have choices. And those choices are either conscious to you or not, but you are still choosing all the time. So, what happens over time? You might make some different choices. I see this happen most as people get past 40. As people are nearing 40, they believe their life is looking one particular way. And then when they get past 40, there's something different that starts to happen with your choices. You start to realize, like, I don't have to choose what other people choose because the more I keep going with the group, the less I keep pulling away from myself. So I want to do more in the way of understanding why I'm even making these choices to begin with, why I have these choices to begin with. Or could my life really look different if I start to exercise these choices with a different level of what? Vibration. Because when you're looking for change, change is incremental. When you're looking for change, you're looking to get out of one bin and essentially for a while move into another one, another bracket, another category, another classification, another frequency, another level, another experience. another dimension, whatever it is. You're making choices to understand things differently. And sometimes the thing is working on the most is your mind because you're trying to lighten your load. You're trying to see things with gratitude. You're trying to feel all of these things that are involved in your choices. I don't suggest you sit around and think about these choices like, oh, let me think about all of my choices. It's overwhelming, right? But there are some things, and this is the core of what I wanted to talk about. There's some things that are going to come to you naturally. And you have to be careful not to be exercising that kind of willful, lower vibratory habit when these things start calling you forward. So think about the things in life that called you toward it. And think about how in the beginning they were absolutely, undoubtedly not the vibration of the things you're accustomed to or the things you wanted. And yet, somehow you got over there, or somehow it got over here with you. And when you started to see what it was, you were like, you know what, actually, this is needed. This is necessary. This is something that I would not have seen making the choices I always make and doing the things I've always done. I would not have seen it. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to see it, to feel it, experience it. So I'm very grateful that I kind of moved out of one place into another because now I have a different vibration, especially when it comes to my choices, especially when it comes to what I know, because I started selecting things that were speaking to me in a different way. There's something else going on than just the surface. And I think about this with people being creative, and I think about this with people's purpose, and I also think about this when it comes to looking at yourself in a way that encapsulates your entire synthesis and composition. So when you're looking in your chart, let's say you find something in your chart that says, man, I'm not really great at making money. Okay. Chart's not going to say it that way, but it might say you'll have some challenges and difficulties in this area. And then you'll have your life and you'll say, yep, I've seen that. I've experienced that. I've been there. And maybe it's beyond, an occasional transit. Maybe it's just like it feels like you've never been able to really get to a certain place. Okay, chances are there's something in your chart that's dictating this. There's something in your chart that's talking about this. And it may even be a soul lesson that you came here this lifetime to conquer. That might be very much a part of your chart. But what I want you to pay attention to is how do you approach that? So it happens again and again and again. Do you approach it the same every time? Do you decide at any point, I'm going to come out of that vibration of don't have, out of that vibration of lack, and then I'm going to move into a vibration that says, I choose these thoughts and I also choose these behaviors. And then I can change it if I can just believe that my choices and my vibration will produce change. And by producing change, it doesn't mean you get better at being a breadwinner, a boss, a hustler, or any of those things. If this is the example we're using, it might mean you get better at seeing that you already have what is needed to offset the fact that that's not who you are. You already got concessions for that. Maybe you have community. Maybe you have the uncanny ability to be around powerful people and people who already know how to do that well, and they're always gifting you. I've seen this a million times in multiple people's charts. You'll start to realize that, I actually have not just some say, but I have some connection that doesn't allow me to have to do a thing. It doesn't mean that I'm not ever figuring it out, but it means that I have more options than the one thing that seems like the apex of how everyone else gets there. Just because everyone gets there that way or people go that path doesn't mean it's their path. And some people struggle trying to go other people's paths without choosing, you know what, that's actually not my path. I've seen it in my chart. It's not my path. It's not how it's going for me. I don't have that ease in that way. So that's not my shining apex. That might be another person's shining apex. The way they do it is like either by the book or it's in their chart that they have this in spades. And maybe I don't. And when you see that about yourself, what you start to realize is you can create systems and things and belief and structures that allow you to get into the groove of that flow without being the person that has to spearhead it all, without being a person that has to step out of character, step out of vibration to do the things. Because I'll tell you, that's exactly what happens. When you keep trying to do a thing that's not your path, your mission, or your purpose, and you keep trying to do it the way that the group is doing it, and the way you see other people doing it, and the way in which people present it to you over and over again, this is the way. This is the apex of living. This is how living goes. And every time you keep choosing that thing that is not the way that you have been moving. It's not natural to you. It's not innate. You don't have any kind of connectivity to it. Every time you keep choosing that, you're putting yourself into detriment. And pretty soon after detriment, you are going to have a vibrational dip. You are going to have a vibrational dip. Because what you're saying is, I'm trading my destiny for the one that looks better to me, the one that sounds better to me, the one that feels better to me. And that is your physicality speaking. That's not your destiny speaking. So here you go with all these distractions, trying to do all this stuff over here that you see other people do it because you're like, that's the way to do it. And there's like this huge, wonderful space of opportunity and possibility just waiting for you to pick it up because you don't have to do what everybody else has to do, especially when your chart says, in multiple ways that it can say it, that that is not how you roll. It's just not what you're good at. So you don't lack anything because you don't have it in your chart. What you have is a community of people who know how to do it. So if you want to take the ropes and learn how to do it without going into detriment, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you get the knowledge, you get a beneficial teacher, and the teacher will help you to learn how to skip steps or how to get into the groove of it without having to be under the pressure of being the apex of how it's done. But if you really want to be in your shining apex, that's alignment. Your shining apex says the things that are not innate and natural for who you are and how you move and how you be and what you came here to do, those are things you don't need to worry about. You can like them, you can be inspired by them, you can look at them, you can collect them, you can applaud them and celebrate them in other people, but don't you dare jump over that hurdle and hurt yourself trying to do what other people are doing because you want a vibration jump and you think that's the way to get it. And that's never how that works. Your vibration jump comes through the experience, the work, the consciousness. Your vibration soars based on your consciousness of something, your awareness, your knowledge, your mastery, your ability to see what is for you and what is not, what's outside of you and what's inside of you, how they are communicating, what the synthesis is, what your composition is. All of these are important things to pay attention to, but it is primarily because you have to discern and know the difference between when you are trying to grab something because it's there, because it's present. Maybe you think it's convenient to be in that position and you are ignoring that ain't no way you're going to be able to grab that and do that the way that those people do it because you don't know what they have going on. And as a matter of fact, you haven't taken it what you haven't taken a good look at what you have going on. So when you don't look at what you have going on, you're just over here jumping through hurdles. And when you take a good look at what you have going on, you will see the necessity of paying more attention to that, growing that, and getting in alignment with that so that the thing that's over there you obtain through another means. Through some other means, you obtain the same, that what it is on paper, you obtain the same thing through some other means. You don't adapt people's process or adopt people's process into your life just because it works for them. You have to have resonance. And that's why these terms that people are like, they're saying all of this. You have to look at what they're really illustrating. They're telling you, don't move out of your divine seat. Don't jump into someone else's timeline, to somebody else's thing. Don't want for what you don't lack. You have it, but you want it to look like that. You want that aesthetic, but you already got it and you are not using it. It's untapped. So that will just have you spin your wheels. This will have you learn and build character and develop and get into the alignment of your life and where it is that you were already headed before you got distracted over there. Because see, here's the true thing. We all have roles. We all have these stations in life that we're going to step into. These are things that feed more than ourselves. This is the place where life is more than just for yourself. We have these things. We came here literally on purpose. We have these things. But if they're not being utilized and we're trading them, we're kind of wasting what that is. We lose some of the richness. And so, what is really important, I had to take that deep breath right there. Whew. What is really important is to spend time and use the force. That's what your life is communicating to you. Don't go over there. You got to spend time with your own richness. Spend time with your own abilities, your own gifts, your own talents, your own challenges. In all of the, what, 15 years now I've been teaching soul consciousness, this is literally the place where people have the most challenge. Universally, almost have the most challenge is trying to get what other people got. Is trying to do what other people have done. Well, if you can do it, I can do it too. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Could you humanly do it? Yes. But what effect will that have on you? And is that what you need to spend your time doing? Not necessary. Here you got this raw material that's specially coded for you, and you over here trying to learn a different kind of code, a different kind of language, how to do other things. And you haven't even understood that this can help you do that, but in your wheelhouse, literally in your wheelhouse. So that's one of the things that I see people feeling challenged with. It's not staying in your lane like you can't be free and expressive. It's staying in your lane, like keeping your eyes on your own paper, because my paper has all of the codes and the rules that I need. And when I explore, I can see the difference between maybe how someone else does it and how I would do it. Not that who they are is so different than who I am, it's that they have a different composition and a different set of tools. Their toolkit may or may not be applicable to mine. And maybe I can, purchase a few tools. Maybe I can borrow a few tools. Maybe I'll be gifted a few tools. But it's not about having their toolkit to begin with. It's about having my toolkit, which is why I'm even looking at theirs. Because I'm trying to figure out if I got everything I need in mine. You got everything you need in yours over here. And I'm saying all of this because I think when we are looking at our charts, we are looking at the ways that we create, there are opportunities for our vibration to be cleaner, stop struggling against things that don't belong with you and things that don't belong with you, and then creating something that is an ill vibration because you stepped out of yours and calling the thing that you stepped out of your artistic process. I'm just getting these things out. You're poisoning people because you're trying so hard to be something that's not in your wheelhouse, in a way that's not in your wheelhouse. And then when you start creating, all of it just becomes like a toxic dump. And then you just dump it on other people. You put it online, you put it here, you put it there, instead of getting really clean and clear about what your vibration actually is. So, yes, it is important to know your vibration, but even more importantly, accept the assignment of your vibration. Accept the assignment. It came here for you. You're here for it. Accept it. Be one with it. Make moves in your life based on that alignment, and you will be far more powerful than any process, than any public figure, than any inspiring purpose. You will have your own. It's not scary to know yourself. If you've ever been an investigator and want to peek in the back room and see what's back there, it's not scary to know yourself. Knowing yourself actually brings all the fruits forward. So I'm always going to be talking about that one way or another. But when you start working with your own vibration and you say, if I'm responsible for this energy, what does it look like? This is what I'm talking about. And yes, you can use your creative things. Everything you create don't need to be seen. Some things are just to clear it out. And we've gotten into this lie of it being more authentic to show people our poison. And all we're really doing is poisoning the supply. We can't get to the clarity. We can't get to the clean part that is actually what people want to see and aspire to. We can't get to the funk. You know what I mean? Like the funk is like your soul is in there, but it knows what its voice is. It knows what it's saying. It knows where its place is and it has navigation. That's the funk. It's not just I'm doing something and because I'm bleeding, I'm gonna just throw blood on this art and then put it on the canvas and then hang it up and be like, and here's my artwork. And now that energy is hanging in somebody else's house. Vibration. Mm-mm. And your chart is full of those kind of things, full of those tones, full of those tones, full of those tones of vibration. Whether, signs and planets and houses feel comfortable with each other, full of those tones of vibration. But then also, anything you create because you're going through a process will also be full of those tones of vibration. It doesn't mean don't create when you're, in a bad space. Maybe you want to create when you're in a bad space to get it out of your body. But again, what you offer others is what your alignment is about. You don't need to offer that poison to others. You can offer a story, but your story, if you're poisoning the supply, then it makes people say, well, art is not this. Well, learning is not this. Video is not this, because that's all people see is a polluted display of productivity. And please do not do that. Utilize vibrational choice. Utilize your shining apex. Utilize all of the creative capacities that you can find. Be childlike in those. And then select. Select. Be a selector. But please, by all means, do not pollute the very things we need to stay alive. Again, thank you so much for listening. Like, share, subscribe, and definitely comment. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Peace.